Be making is a small weaving that is constructed on top of a used CD. So these things, because digital media has progressed, a lot of these get thrown away because people just save data right on their hard drive or on their device, or they store it in the cloud, so we don't really use as many of these anymore. So there's lots of these floating around in the world, and we can upcycle these. Upcycling is a word that we use to describe reusing something. Maybe one person would think of it as trash, but an artist might see another use for it. So here's an example of a weaving that was done last year by a student, and as you can see, it is on top of an old CD. The first step to making your weaving is going to be putting these strings around your CD. When an artist is weaving, they have yarn going in two different directions. The yarn that kind of goes up and down on a weaving is called the warp, W-A-R-P. And the yarn that goes back and forth across a weaving, or in this case, around and around, is called the weft, W-E-F-T. So warp, and the warp strings are on this one too, on this side too, they're just more covered up by the weft. So the warp is what goes up and down, and in this case, you'll see how this is going to be wrapped. And the weft is what goes back and forth, or in this case, round and around and around. So that might sound a little confusing, but you're going to get the hang of it really quickly. So let me show you how to start. You're going to begin with a used CD. It really doesn't matter the content, what's on here, just matters that it's all in one piece, it's not broken. And you're going to notice right away that there's two sides. There's a shiny side, and that's where the data would have been stored. And then there's the more decorative side that is usually the label or something like that. Most people want to cover this side up so that the back of their weaving is also kind of cool looking. This person didn't do it that way, and it's fine because they wanted that shiny to show around the edge. And then this is going to be next to the wall anyway, so it doesn't matter. And you know, this is really nice too. So let's try it this way. Okay, so we're going to do shiny side up so that that little shiny edge is going to show at the end when we're finished. And then we're going to get a really, really long length of yarn. I'll be telling you at your tables exactly how long that yarn should be. But what you're going to do is find the end of it, and you're going to stick the end of it through the center of your disc, right through the center. And then you'll see that there's a little tail on the back. We want to leave a nice bit of tail here because you're going to be tying this later. And then we're going to hold it down temporarily by putting a piece of masking tape across it, just like that. That way it won't get away from you. Then what we're going to do is we're going to start wrapping it around the CD. And so what I'm doing, I'm pulling it this way, and then I'm pushing the string through the middle, and I'm going to pull the big long tail with me. I need that. And then I'm going to continue wrapping. So I'm going to call this string number 1, and here's number 2. And then I'm putting that through the center, and I'm just kind of pushing it with my finger so I can grab it on the right side. Pull it through again. And I'm going to keep repeating that process until I have wrapped it 19 times, and that number is really important. You have to have it wrapped 19 times for this project to work. One of the reasons is because of the size of the CD, but another reason is because of the fact that when you're weaving in a circle, you have to have an odd number of warp threads. If you try to use an even number of warp threads, your weaving pattern will be off. So that will become more evident as you're working today or tomorrow. But just remember 19. And for a circular weaving of any kind, whether that's weaving on an old CD or whether that's making an actual basket that is round or square, you're going around and around with your weaving, and so you need to have an odd number of warps. So I'm going to continue. I want you to notice the way that I am doing these in order. So I'm not skipping all over the place. I want to have them lined up one after the other. I didn't do another one over here, over here. I'm just trying to go one right after the other all the way around the circle. And then I'm going to stop here in a second and count and make sure that I have actually 19 warps on this disc. Okay, so I'm kind of back here at the beginning where I started. Can you see that? Okay, that's where I started. So let me count up. Okay, and I'm going to start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, so that means I'm going to scoot these over just a little bit so that I can do my last one. And there's 19. Okay, so now I have 19 on there total. I'm going to turn it over, and then I'm going to release the yarn from the tape just by pulling it off. Set that tape to the side because you don't need it anymore. And now what you're going to do is tie a nice tight knot right here. And you may need to ask a friend for help. Just like when somebody's tying a ribbon on a package, they might ask you to put your finger right there so that they can tie the knot really tightly. So you could ask somebody at your table to help you with this. I've done it so many times that I can do it by myself pretty well. But if somebody was here, I probably would have them help me. Okay, so now I've got it tied. And what I'm going to do is recount. Before you cut this, I want you to recount and make sure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So now that I'm sure that I have 19, what I'm going to do is turn it over, and I can trim this other piece off, but I've lost my scissors, darn it. We're gonna just trim that off. You can do that with your scissors, which you will have at your table. And then if you can reuse your same piece of tape, you can do that. Put it back on your disc and then write your name right here. And I'm gonna give you a Sharpie so that you can put your name there on the tape, and that way yours won't get lost. These are gonna end up looking a lot like everybody else's. They're gonna look the same until we start the weaving. The next step is gonna be to add the weft yarn, and that's the colorful, beautiful patterns, and we're gonna talk about how we're gonna do that in a next video. All right, have fun.